Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to Open Mic here on my YouTube channel. I'm, of course, your host, John Campea. And Open Mic, for those of you who might be your first time here, is just an open discussion. It's just all live questions and interaction the whole way through. You know, the John Campea show earlier in the day is all mostly structured with a little bit of live interaction. This whole Open Mic thing is just all open mic and all interaction. And gosh, I don't know what we're going to talk about today. If only something significant in the world of movie news and movies had happened today. Oh, that's right. We got that little Avengers Infinity War trailer. I'm sure we're going to talk a whole hell of a lot about Avengers Infinity War, the trailer that dropped this morning. But you know what? It's open mic, so we can talk about whatever it is you guys want to talk about as well. You can bring up any topic you like. But of course, anything you want to talk about Avengers Infinity War, bring it on. Let's get things going. All right, guys, we're going to go for about an hour. Let's get things kicked off here with this. And the first question today comes in from Dakota Barber, who writes, "The I hope they remember you line from Thanos was chilling. Love Cap holding off Thanos. He's my favorite Avenger. Got my tickets for opening night." And yeah, I think a hell of a lot of people got their tickets for opening night. I know when I went online onto the AMC website, it was about, I don't know, maybe 15 minutes after tickets went on sale, and the AMC Prime theater was almost full already. In like 15 minutes, it was almost packed. So, and I know the 10:30 p.m. was almost packed as well. I mean, those tickets were selling like crazy. It's going to be a huge opening. And yes, that line, like there's almost like a nobility. There's almost like a code of honor. The way Thanos said that line, there was almost a code of honor to it. Like when he says, like, "I hope they remember you." Like, "Hey, you fought well. Good job, little squirt. Now I'm going to snuff your light out." So that was that. And of course, the Captain America shot was absolutely 100% my absolute favorite shot. I'm probably going to bring this picture up about 7 times during this broadcast. It is absolutely my favorite moment in the entire trailer. All right, let's move on here. And the next question comes to us from Orange Hand, who writes, "When do you think Thanos' motives were changed? Or why do you think Thanos' motives were changed from the comics, wiping out the universe because the woman he likes is playing hard to get?" Well, of course, he's infatuated. In the comics, he's in love with death, right? So you ask the question, why do you think they changed it from the comics? The better question is this, and I always challenge my viewers about this. When asking why, ask this question instead. Why not? Why would you stay to the motives that Thanos has in the comics? Why would you? Why not change it to something that on a live action movie would be a lot more compelling for an audience? Like, for instance, you know, yesterday I was mentioning that I hope we get to see what some of Thanos' motivations are. And I hope it's not just, "I'm just a bad guy. I want to see everything burn." No, I was hoping it would be more than that, because we see too much of that in movies. And sometimes we have some great villains who just want to watch the world burn. Sure, there are some great villains that do that, but it's overused. I rather have a villain with a little bit more depth to them, a little bit more of a dimension to them. There's something different to their motivation. So to me, going into it, you would have to make a really good argument why you should stay with what his motivations are in the comics. You know, this is one of those situations where I don't think it translates as well to the screen. To me, the common sense choice is to change his motivations, make it something else entirely. Now, look, in the post-credit scene of Avengers, there was that little wink of the eye and tip of the cap to the whole death thing. Goes, "To challenge them is to court death." And Thanos turns around and smiles, right? So there's a little nod of that. But I think in a live action movie, you need something more than that. And who knows? Maybe they'll find a way to blend the two. Maybe they'll find a way in the movie to blend the two motivations. Maybe part of it, he wants to wipe out half of the universe to bring it into better balance and to please Lady Death. I mean, who knows what they're going to do? Maybe it's a hybrid of the two. But again, what I usually want to challenge my friends and my viewers, whatever, whenever we ask the question, why did they do this? My immediate reaction is, why not? Why not? It seems like, and in this case, it seems like it makes more sense to me. Let's move on. Adam Griffin writes, "You must choose one of the following Pauly Shore classics to have a modern reboot made: Encino Man, Son-in-Law, or Biodome. Which would work today?" It seems to me Biodome as a concept, with everything that's going on about the environment and all that kind of stuff, it seems to me a movie like Biodome would probably work best. Actually, look, Son-in-Law is an age-old kind of thing. Encino Man is also something. Look, actually, all three of these could work as remakes, but I actually think Biodome is probably the one that would probably have the best footing for success in today's market. Interesting question, man. Randall Cartwright writes, totally off the Infinity War subject, although it was a great trailer. Favorite 90s sitcom? Mine probably is Home Improvement. I would have to sit down and think. I mean, when was Seinfeld in the 90s? If Seinfeld was in the 90s, then that's easy. It's Seinfeld. Hold on, let me just look that up for a second here. Seinfeld TV show. When was it on? It was on, well, it started, 89 into 98. Oh, that makes it really, really easy. Best sitcom of the 90s easily was Seinfeld. To me, Home Improvement had a lot of fans, but yeah, Seinfeld, there's an argument to be made that Seinfeld may be the greatest sitcom of all time. So there's that. James Smith writes, do you think Avengers 4 will be a continuation of Infinity War? Yeah, I think it's going to be the next chapter of that story, much like, Return of the Jedi was the next chapter. After Empire Strikes Back. I believe it's going to be in that vein. So yes, I do believe it will be a continuation of the story. I believe we're going to get some sort of resolution, but there's still a bigger picture stuff going on, and that'll lead into the next one. So that's kind of how I think they're going to do it, but who knows? Could be totally wrong about that. Okay, let's see. Ben Heusa writes, one word to describe the Infinity War trailer, epic. And John, yes, I did. I watched it over and over, as I said I would. So hyped than I was before. Yeah, I watched it many times already this morning. Such a great trailer. I mean, here's the great thing about it. Take away the Avengers tag off that, and it's still that's a great trailer. That, you could change the faces and change the names and say it's not call it Avengers. And that trailer is still a great trailer. It's a magnificent trailer. And because sometimes I'm pretty convinced that sometimes trailers come out and people like them, but if it's part of a franchise, I suspect that part of that enjoyment just comes from the fact that it's got that label on it. It's got the label of whatever that franchise is. And I think that's probably part of what makes it so appealing to some people. But the great thing about this trailer is you even take Avengers off. It's a great trailer. And I just adored it. I really did. All right. Let's see now. Kane writes, love what you do. Thank you so much, Kane. Possible sad moments. 1, Loki dies in order to save Thor. That's a possibility. 2, Tony holds Thanos off to let everyone else escape and then uses the phone to call Cap to warn him, apologize, and say bye. Oh my God, that would be like just a heart-wrenching moment. Wouldn't that be? Oh gosh. Number 2 probably won't happen, but the thought of it breaks my heart. Yeah, that would be a really powerful emotional scene. That would be a very emotional scene if they did that. But the first one, I got to tell you, I'm fully expecting Loki's going to die in the first act of this movie, in that first part with Thanos boarding Thor's ship. I fully expect Thanos is going to die. I don't know that he will, but I'm guessing he will. And I'm just trying to prepare myself for that, man, because that's going to be heartbreaking to me. Absolutely heartbreaking to me when that happens. And if that happens, it's going to be devastating. It's going to crush me. I'm going to tell you right now, that's going to crush me when he dies. So let's see. Okay, what's next here? Patrick Singh writes, if Soul Stone was inserted in Tony, then Avengers will go back in time, stop said insertion, and change other wrongly kept places of Infinity Stones. It's possible. I've actually been trying to avoid any kind of speculation about the Soul Stone at this point. There's really nothing concrete for us to go off of. So anything, I love speculating, but I love speculating when there's kernels of facts there that we can base speculations on. With the Soul Stone, I feel like we're just wildly speculating in many ways. So I personally try to avoid it, but I can totally see where you're coming from on that. Dark Knight 46K writes, Campea, now that's a damn trailer. So hyped. Starting to believe Tony and Cap won't have any scenes together. It's possible. You remember we talked about that maybe a week or so ago. I mentioned that. I think there's a good possibility, not definite, but I think there's a good chance that this movie won't have any Tony and Steve scenes together. I think that's possible. It's possible we don't see these two together until Avengers 4. So no, I don't think either Cap or Tony are dying this movie. I don't think either of them are going to die by the end of Avengers 4 either. I don't think either of them are dying or going anywhere. both of them represent huge cash flow to Disney and Marvel. I don't think either of them are going anywhere. But it's possible. It's totally possible. But even with them not going anywhere, yeah, I think there's a 60% chance that we do not see Tony and Steve together in Infinity War. Now, that means there's a 40% chance that they do, but I believe there's a 60% chance that they don't. So I'm with you on that, Dark Knight. I kind of believe the same thing. All right. Let's see. The Last of the Time Lords writes, what are your thoughts on the Dean Cain incarnation? Oh, that question came up already earlier on another episode. It's this exact same question, actually. I'll say what I said on the other video. I was not a big fan of the Dean Cain Superman thing. I saw a few episodes of it, like maybe 6 or 7 episodes. Never got me to watch it all the way through. I know a number of other people that quite enjoyed it as well. And it was really neat seeing Dean Cain show up in Supergirl. That was a nice kind of homage. But yeah, for whatever reason, even though I'm a big superhero show guy and I love Superman, it didn't quite work for me. But I know many people that it did work for. Let's see. Krieger119 writes, what accent Rhino in The Amazing Spider-Man 2? Hello? I think it was supposed to be Russian. I have never seen Paul Giamatti, the great Paul Giamatti. What an actor. I've never seen him so bad. And obviously he was doing what he could, given this character. Oh, I am Rhino. Oh my God. One of several reasons why The Amazing Spider-Man 2 was a big step down from The Amazing Spider-Man 1. I loved The Amazing Spider-Man 1, but oh my God. Well, and what they did with Paul Giamatti, I mean, right off the bat too, that's like, this is kind of like foreshadowing for us that maybe they're going in a wrong direction here. So I don't know what they were thinking about that. I really don't. AFC writes, thoughts on if Hulk/Bruce is in the Hulkbuster armor? I think he is. I think he is in that armor. Like when we see all the Outriders like jumping on him and knocking to the ground, I think Hulk's in that. And I think the armor comes off and then Hulk just goes savage. But I don't know that for a fact. We'll have to wait and see. But I think he is in the armor. I think so. There are other options out there too. There are some people theorizing that Shuri is controlling the, much like she controlled the car in Black Panther. Some people speculate Shuri's controlling that armor. Some people speculate it's just, much like the Iron Legion was, like they're just autonomous, like it's just an autonomous thing. But I think Hulk might be in it. All right. And I could be dead wrong about that. Last of the Time Lords writes, Tony accidentally created Ultron. Do you think in Avengers Infinity War or Avengers 4, he will create another Ultron to take on Thanos to bide time? No. He's not going to make that mistake again. Because remember, Thanos just wants to kill half of humanity. That's nice. He only wants to kill half. Whereas Ultron saw the only answer, the extinction of the human species. Ultron wanted to kill everybody. Thanos only wants to kill half the people. Therefore, Thanos is only half as bad as Ultron. So no, I do not think we'll see Tony trying to reinstate an Ultron thing, because the outcome of Ultron could be even worse than what the outcome of Thanos would be. Because Thanos only wants to kill half the people. It's all good. I'm just killing half. So yeah, there's that. All right. AFC writes, happy Spider-Man is swinging and not flying like Tony. Oh God, that's the only thing missing, is Spider-Man like rockets show up in Spider-Man's gear, and now he flies just like Iron Man. And then just change his name from Spider-Man to Iron Man Jr. You might as well, because that's all you've made him at that point. I really hope that in the battle, Peter just realizes this armor is just getting in my way and just takes it off and goes back to the classic Spider-Man thing and is just Spider-Man again. I would love it if that happens. Nathan Oswald writes, last night I rewatched National Treasure on USA, and man, that movie is so much fun and a good time. One of my favorite Nick Cage movies. Yeah, National Treasure was good. The sequel was okay too. The sequel was okay, not as good as the first one. There had been so much talk over the last couple years. Well, I mean, maybe not the last year or two, but in a number of years, there was so much talk about a National Treasure 3. But for whatever reason, they just opted against it. They never got around to it, and there was no National Treasure 3. Although a lot of people still kind of thought maybe they should take a shot at it. Maybe take a chance at a National Treasure 3. But, I mean, as Nicolas Cage's stock has dropped, which is too bad because he's a ridiculously talented actor, but his stock has dropped. It makes it even less marketable to do it. And so much time has passed that can you go back and do it now? And I don't think we're ever going to see a National Treasure 3 at this point. But you're right. That first one is a hell of a good time. It's a really good time. LF Drumming writes, do you think Marvel Netflix will show impact of Infinity War? I don't know. I mean, I'm sure there'll be a reference to it. I'm sure somebody will make reference of the second incident at some point. I'm not expecting us to see, Thanos or whatever, or anything like that popping up on the television in Luke Cage. But again, if there is, it'll be casual, subtle references, as opposed to just hands-on seeing the events of Infinity War and what the repercussions of Infinity War is. I don't think we're going to see that. It just feels to me more and more that the Netflix shows have more and more been acting more and more autonomously, like very much on their own. They have not been acting, again, subtle references dropping, but really no real-life practical implication of real superheroes being out there and them living in the world with the Avengers. It just doesn't feel like that at all. And so I don't expect to see much. Now, I'm more expecting to see fallout and repercussions and direct impact on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. They've done that more before, but on the Netflix stuff, I have my doubts. It's totally possible, though. Daryl C. writes, I think Spidey's suit was used to show us his personality in a way the previous Spideys couldn't. He had someone to talk to instead of just monologuing. Well, then that's just bad writing. If you need Peter to be able to reveal something in expressing and talking, there are other mechanisms for doing that. Every other movie uses that mechanism. Oh, we need the audience to hear something about the thoughts of the hero. We need a mechanism for him to talk. And they don't have to give him a AI-infused battle armor in every other movie to talk. I mean, that's just bad writing. If that's the case, then it's just bad writing. Because I think there's every other Spider-Man came out, every other Spider-Man movie had a way for Spider-Man to reveal his thoughts and reveal his motivations and reveal what's on his head without having to have an Iron Man Jr. suit. If they could do it, then you should have been able to do it here. So I don't think that was their reasoning. If it was their reasoning, it's just bad writing. But I don't think that was their reasoning. I think they just think it makes it cool. And look, there are lots of people who think the Iron Spider stuff is really cool. Just because I'm bitching and moaning about it doesn't mean everybody else feels the same way. Not at all. A lot of people like it. I'm just expressing my thought and opinion. My thought and opinion is I think it's an insult to the how great the Spider-Man character is, that he needs something else because Spider-Man on his own isn't cool enough. But don't confuse me complaining with it with everybody dislikes it. A lot of people out there love the idea, and more power to them. That's great. I'm just, complaining about it on my own. All right. Sujith writes, with or without the DCEU, I just want to see DC make good movies. Well, all of us do. It'll work if they can agree on one plan, vision, and stick to it. I'm old-fashioned. I don't care if it's a shared movie universe or not. Yeah, I'm getting to the point, too, that I'm starting to not care if it's a shared universe. Look, actually, I've been advocating for years the idea that there's something we lose. There's some special things we lose when every superhero has to be in a connected shared universe. No longer, it used to be that a superhero movie was about something unique in the world. Now, there's a superhero at every 7-Eleven. Like, there's literally tens of thousands of superheroes. Every single corner has a superhero on it. And while there are many advantages to that, I believe there has been some disadvantages to that too. The fact that we haven't just had great standalone superhero movies where the hero is something that is unique in the world. When Spider-Man 1 and Spider-Man 2, the Sam Raimi ones, came out, Spider-Man didn't live in a universe with 5,000 other superheroes. There was something special and unique. Same goes for the Tim Burton Batman films, or the Christopher Nolan Batman films, or the old Christopher Reeve Superman films, or things like that. There's something really special about the standalone. And look, if DC wants to go in the direction of just standalone isolated movies, Whatever, that can be great too. I just want them to make great movies that everybody can love and enjoy. Because I'm getting kind of tired of being the only guy in the room that likes the DC movies. It's getting kind of tiring. Being the one guy in the room that's constantly trying to defend, Suicide Squad, or trying to defend Justice League, or trying to defend Batman versus Superman. It's getting very lonely and very tiring trying to defend those movies. I like those movies. It would just be really cool if everybody else loved them too. And I would love to see DC be able to get back on track and make some movies that the audience everywhere loves and embraces, that the critics embrace, the audiences embrace, and enjoys big financial box office success as well. I think the DC characters deserve that. I think the DC fans deserve that. And that's why I want them to reboot. Why everybody else hates DC so much that they don't want DC to do what it'll take to get success is beyond me, but DC's best chance at success, DC's best chance at this point of getting back on track is rebooting. And I think most people who really deep down want to see DC succeed will want them to reboot because that is their best chance of success. Anyway, that's just my thoughts. You may have a different opinion, and that's cool. Let's see. Johnny Mija writes, just can't get enough of the Infinity War trailer. So damn hype. I mean, I must have watched it a dozen times. And I will watch it at least a dozen times more. If it wasn't for the fact that the moment that this show ends today, I got to hop in the car and go pick up my wife. My wife right now is off getting LASIK eye surgery, the laser eye surgery, so she doesn't have to wear glasses anymore. She's been wanting to do it for years. But, I mean, obviously she can't drive. So once this show's done, she'll be done her procedure. I got to run over and I got to go get her. Or else I'd be like, finish this show, run out to the TV, pop open the YouTube app, and just watch that damn trailer over and over again 10 more times. All right, let's see. Next one comes to us from Last of the Time Lords. And Last of the Time Lords writes, I think it will be Gamora and Nebula will take down Thanos. As he raised them, they will be able to emotionally get close enough to him to kill him. You know what? That is never something I considered until that trailer came, man. Never something I ever would have considered until the trailer came. And by the trailer, I mean that one shot in the trailer that we're going to get a flashback to when Thanos adopts Gamora as a little girl and takes her as his trophy to raise as his daughter. I have a feeling, I could be wrong about this, I have a feeling we're going to get a similar flash, or in that same flashback sequence, we're going to see Thanos doing the same with Nebula. And getting Nebula. I would give it a solid 8% chance. 8% that ultimately the ones who are going to take Thanos down are his adopted daughters. Nebula and Gamora. Or maybe even just Gamora. But one way or another, it's going to come down to that. I think there's a good 8% chance. That leaves 92% for other things to happen. But it's something, like I said, I never even would have considered before until they showed that flashback. By showing that flashback, it's like, oh, are they showing us Thanos' weakness? Maybe Thanos still has a soft spot for Gamora. Like, remember when he was talking to the accuser, to Ronan the accuser, he said, you turned my favorite daughter against me. Like, I think there's a part of Thanos that in his own twisted way loves Gamora. Or is very possessive. Well, for whatever it is, he's got an attachment to Gamora. He still refers to her as daughter. And Nebula as his daughters. And so you may be right. Maybe that's going to be a key part. I don't know for sure, but that might be a key part. Let's move on here. Nathan Oswald writes, I love Big Trouble in Little China. Well, who doesn't love Big Trouble in Little China? Come on. But I want to know if you think that it's considered a satire on Chinese martial arts films. I've never considered it that. Maybe there's an argument to be made for that, but honestly, just as a viewer, as an audience member, as a fan, when I've watched it, I've never personally perceived it that way. I mean, there's nothing wrong if it is. If it is a satire, there's nothing wrong with that. But as a fan, as an individual audience member, I don't ever recall watching that film and seeing it through those lenses, I've always just taken that as a ridiculous, over-the-top action adventure movie. That's all I ever took it as. But who knows, maybe you could make... You know what? You should write a blog post, Nathan. Seriously. Write a long, blog post on how you could see Big Trouble in Little China as an homage satire of Chinese kung fu movies, and write out your thoughts and then share it. Post it in our comments section, share it around. That would be an interest. I would read that. All right, let's move on here. Krieger 119 writes, Tony isn't in Wakanda. Safe to say Hulk is in the Hulkbuster suit. Was hoping to see the Iron Spider legs. Oh, and that was Proxima Midnight's spear on Loki. Oh, yeah, it was. The little try thing on him. That shot to me, the shot that we see of, the Black Order standing around, it doesn't even look like they're standing around him. It's not like they're surrounding him. They're standing more with Loki as they're all looking up. I assume they're looking up at Thanos. But the one has their weapon pointed at Loki, but the rest of them look like they're just standing with him. To me, that's a fascinating shot. And again, this is pure baseless speculation, but it's almost like, okay, he's clearly a prisoner in a way because one's got a weapon train on, but the way the rest of them are standing, it seems more like they're standing with him as opposed to surrounding him. You know what I'm saying? It's like, could Thanos be making a really generous offer to Loki to, hey, you worked for me once, I'll let you work for me again if you betray everybody or something like that. Maybe there's an offer being made. Whatever it is, I still believe Loki dies there. Maybe he dies the big heroic death when the ultimate redemption of Loki happens there, but I still think he's dying. And I'm just not emotionally ready. I'm not emotionally ready for Loki to die. But if it's in service to the story, I'm all for it. All right. Sujith writes, watch the Infinity War trailer 10 times and still counting, and I'm going to keep counting, man. We're just going to keep watching that damn thing. Last of the Time Lords writes, who are your top 5 WWE wrestlers? Oh, this question was asked again here's the thing, Last of the Time Lords. I think you missed the part where I said, if I don't get to a question, because I think you sent in this question on an earlier video. But what happens is any questions I don't get around to, I do take those questions and I answer them in the companion video. So if you look at the companion video earlier on today that I posted up, it's got all these questions that you already asked. You don't need to answer them again. So if I don't get around to a question that you asked, and this is good for everybody to hear, if we run out of time today and I don't ask the question yet that you sent in, don't fret. I'm going to make another video called the John Campea Show companion video that will answer all the questions we didn't get around to in the live show. So if you send in a live question, even if you didn't send it in on time to get on the live show, it will get answered in one of the videos. And so this is yet another question that I did answer earlier today, Last of the Time Lord. So you can go and check that out and find that there. Trevor Johnson writes, hyped for Infinity War, and I'm really getting interested to see how Marvel pivots towards a smaller story like Ant-Man and the Wasp. I'm really excited to see that transition. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be neat to see what type of tie-in this has. Because what is very interesting is that we've got 2 Marvel movies that they're coming out between Avengers 3 and Avengers 4. But both of those movies happen before the events of Infinity War. Ant-Man and the Wasp happens relatively quickly after Civil War. And Captain Marvel, I believe, if I remember correctly, happens like the 80s or the 90s. So it all takes place before. So we're going to be able to pretty seamlessly go from one Avengers film into the next. But what they're going to do in those other movies, I got to believe there's an Infinity War tie-in in Ant-Man and the Wasp. I've got to believe there's something significant going on there that ties into Infinity War. I don't know what it is yet. I haven't got a theory of it yet. My only theory is on the very base level of, I think somehow, and I think many of you feel this as well, that somehow that Ant-Man and the Wasp movie does tie in to Infinity War. How directly or not, we're just going to have to wait and find out. All right. Next one comes to us from ZOMG Ruler, who writes, and I lost ZOMG because a whole bunch more things came in. Hold a second. Okay, a lot of questions come in. Sorry, got to keep going back till I get to the question. Okay, here we go. Now we're caught. Okay, ZOMG Ruler writes, you're the man, John. Thank you so much. Ever shop at Safeway? I used to shop at Safeway when I lived in Canada. I don't have any Safeways around me where I currently live. The closest grocery stores to me, the 2 closest grocery stores to me are both Ralph's grocery stores. So not so much. I don't go to Safeway anymore. Although I did a little bit when I lived in Canada. Matthew Unruh just sends in a super chat. Thank you, Matthew. Anthony Cullen writes, I'm taking a 6-week nap. Wake me up on April 27th. No kidding. No kidding. I'm just, like, seeing this trailer just makes me sad that the movie is still 6 weeks away. Like, damn it, I want to see it tomorrow. I'm just, like, beside myself. I just want to see this movie. All right, Matthew Unruh writes, what if the last seconds of Infinity War is Thanos with the gauntlet full? He looks at the camera, snaps his fingers, and then black. Oh, kind of like a Sopranos ending? Then we have to wait a year to see what happened. Keep up the awesome work. I mean, that's a possibility, but it's not what you call even though we still have another, Avengers movie to come, just like in Empire Strikes Back, we still have Return of the Jedi to come. You still have to have a satisfying ending to the movie, right? You have to have a satisfying ending to the movie without drawing a complete closure on the overall story. Think of Empire Strikes Back. There was still that big open thing. Han's gone, the Empire's still out there, but we got a big satisfying ending. Luke escaped Vader's plane. He got Leia out. They all were able to escape and rendezvous back with the Rebel fleet. So you got a satisfying ending while still having these open bookends, right? Where to pursue the story in the next one. They have to find a way to do the same thing in Infinity War. Yes, the whole saga doesn't conclude with Infinity War, but you still have to find a subway that you draw to a satisfying ending, whether it's an escape or whether it's getting this, keeping that one stone away from Thanos, or doing this. You got to have something there's a small victory there. Empire wins in Empire Strikes Back, but there's a small victory there for our heroes, because they end up getting away and regrouping with the Rebel fleet, with Luke in his arm around Leia, looking out the window into space, watching Lando and Chewie fly off to go start the rescue mission of Han. There has to be a small victory. And something like Thanos getting all the gems and then snapping his fingers and things going black, it doesn't give that to the audience. And I think at some level, there has to be some small moral victory. Some small moral victory. Even if it's just, we succeeded in keeping this one stone away from Thanos. However, he still has all these other stones. He's still out there. We still got to figure out a way to stop him, because he's still going to wipe out half the world. I mean, yay, we kept this one stone from him, so we live to fight another day. That would fill the order pretty nicely. That's why I don't think they're going to go that way, Matthew, but it's possible. It's certainly possible. Okay, Last of the Time Lords writes, in episode 3, when Mace Windu fights Palpatine, if the roles were reversed and Anakin was in that fight with Palpatine, would Anakin have won that fight? Only the writers can say for sure, but I'm going to guess no. I don't think he was at that point in his power yet. Because I think Mace was the better swordsman than, say, Obi-Wan. And Obi-Wan ended up beating Anakin in a duel. So I think Anakin loses that. At that point, remember something Palpatine says, he will become, when he's talking to Yoda and they're talking about Anakin, he says he will become more powerful than either of us. But I don't think he was there at that point yet. So I think Anakin would have lost that fight. Then again, I'm just theorizing. ZOMG Ruler writes, does it ever feel like Disney makes too much money? Now, look, you make as much as you earn. If Disney continues to put out great, big, fun, blockbuster stuff and people keep going to see it, then they're not making too much money. They're just succeeding. There's no such thing as too much success. It's not like they just won a lottery and people, like, they just get money for no reason. They are working hard. They are putting out quality content and they're making money. Same to do with all the studios, man. And every studio can make more money than Disney. Disney's making the most right now, but every studio can make more money than Disney. If they put out the right content, if they put out the right product, then they'll make more than them. Hans Gruber writes, hello there. I think it will be a standard clause in contracts regarding facial I think you mean hair. Okay, I see where you're going with this. I think it will be a standard clause in contracts regarding facial hair in upcoming movies. Kind of bad sportsmanship from Paramount. You know what? As much as it bothered me, no, it was not bad sportsmanship from Paramount. Oh, you guys got to go back and do reshoots? That's your problem. We need our guy in his mustache. You know, if you wanted him available to you, like, sorry, Warner Brothers, and I'm a big Warner Brothers defender, but If you wanted him to be ready, then you should have signed him and paid him more money and kept that period of time blocked for your exclusive use. You didn't do that, and we did. We've got our own movie to worry about. Paramount's job is not to worry about Disney's movies. Paramount's job is not to worry about Warner Brothers movies. Paramount's job is not to worry about Universal's movies. It's Paramount's job to worry about their movies and do what is best for their movies. That's their job. And they had Henry Cavill's time blocked out. They said, you're our guy from here to here, and a part of that, we have a certain appearance for the character, and that means you got to have that mustache. Could Paramount have made some olive branch thing out to Warner Brothers? Said, okay, we'll let him shave the mustache here if this. Could they have done that? Sure, they could have, but they were under no obligation to do that. That is not Paramount's problem. That was Warner Brothers' problem. And they could have said, hey, look, if it was that important to you, you should have had this time blocked out for him. If you wanted, him to not have a mustache, you should have signed him and paid him and put in contract and blocked out that time that he can't have a mustache for that period of time. But you didn't. So that's your fault. That's on you, Warner Brothers. We, Paramount, are worrying about our movie. And in our movie, we want this, and we think he looks better in a real natural mustache than without. And so we're going to do what's best for our movies. And I'm telling you, I know it pissed a lot of people off, but that was not Paramount's problem. That wasn't Paramount's fault. That's Warner Brothers' fault. And you can't really blame Warner Brothers either. Like, you couldn't foresee all these problems coming about, but it's not Paramount's fault. It's not Paramount's job to look after Warner Brothers or Universal or Disney or anybody else's problems. Paramount needs to do what's best for Paramount and what's best for their movies. And you're damn well better believe that every other studio would do the same thing. Every studio would do the same thing because that's what their responsibility is. So no, I don't think it was bad form or bad sportsmanship on Paramount's thing at all. If I'm a Paramount shareholder, you're damn right. I want to see that Paramount is doing things in the best interest of Paramount's movies. And if they think it looks better to have him in his natural mustache and we don't want him to shave it, then tough luck every other studio who wants to do something with him. That's what we got to do because it's what's best for our movie. So I kind of stand by them with that. I really do. All right, let's move on here. Next one, again from Last of the Time Lords, who writes, who is the more powerful Jedi, Mace Windu or Obi-Wan Kenobi? Well, in the era of the prequels, Mace Windu was. Because Anakin talks about more this than Master Yoda, more that than Master Windu. Windu and Yoda were pretty much acknowledged the two most powerful Jedi at the time. Whether Obi-Wan, later on in his life became more powerful than Windu was, that's another question. But I believe at that time in the prequels, I believe anyway, that Windu was probably the more powerful. Krieger writes, Infinity War first movie was to be filmed completely in IMAX. Which is the preferable theater, IMAX or Dolby, in your opinion? Well, somebody asked me this exact question before, and I'll answer the same way. AMC Prime with the Dolby Theater. Yes, IMAX has the great resolution, and that's wonderful. But to me, the AMC Prime with Dolby Cinema and Dolby's dual laser projection system, it is the deepest blacks, the brightest whites, the richest colors. It is just the most beautiful image I've ever seen in a movie theater. And then you compound that with these Dolby Cinemas also come with the Dolby Atmos surround sound system, which is just phenomenal. To me, look, the IMAX is great, but if I have to choose between something in an AMC Prime with the Dolby projection system or IMAX, I'm taking the AMC Dolby projection system every time, every single time. But that's just my opinion. It all depends on taste. Your mileage may vary. It's up to your personal taste. But for me, it's the Dolby Theater. Last of the Time Lords writes, oh wait, did I skip one here? No, I didn't. Last of the Time Lords writes, what's your thoughts on the barbershop movies? I love them, especially Cedric the Entertainer's character. And Eddie, what are your thoughts? I like them. I mean, they're not like I consider all-time classics or anything like that, but I always got a kick out of the barbershop movies. They've certainly got some laughs along the way. I don't think I've ever seen anyone more than twice. But yeah, they're good, harmless, funny movies. I dig them. But again, they're never going to end up on any of my top 10 lists or anything like that. Ethan Hunt writes, "Hey John, when a man goes through suffering and overcomes it, it's called the hero's journey. When a woman goes through it, the writers get called out for hating women. I'm not trying to be a jackass. I'm just saying I disagree with you. I think here's the thing, Ethan. It's like, let's say this. There's a movie that comes out that shows, I don't know, the villain eating vanilla ice cream. And maybe 2 critics out of the 1,000 critics say, this movie's bad because he was seen eating vanilla ice cream. Just follow me here, okay? Follow my example. What is a really bad trend for film fans to do is to go, critics say they don't like it because he's eating vanilla ice cream. No, they don't. There were 2 guys out of thousands of critics who said that. That doesn't mean critics don't like it because he's eating vanilla ice cream. No, there were like 2 guys who said that. That is hardly representative of what critics think. All right? Hardly representative of what critics think. And what I found is that in film fandom, we have a tendency to, if we find somebody once somewhere says this, or 2 or 3 people say something this, then we ascribe it with a big wide blanket and drape it over everybody. For instance, I very rarely hear, like when a movie shows a woman going through trials and tribulations on her hero's journey, there's somebody saying, oh, that writer hates women. Have there been a couple of people out there who do? Sure. But let's not talk as if that's a big blanket statement that can be applied to everybody or the vast majority of the movie-going audience. I think the vast majority of film fans and critics out there do not think that when we show our heroine going through trials and tribulations or suffering, whatever, that means the writer hates women. You're talking about a very small percentage of people out there who would choose to look at it that way. A very small percentage. So I would say just don't worry about that, Ethan. I'd say don't pay it any attention. Don't worry about it whatsoever and just move on from it. And let's not act as if it's a bigger, wider problem than it really is. It's a small percentage of some people who choose to look at it that way. I think the vast majority of film fans and critics do not. Therefore, I don't find it to be an issue. But that's just me. All right. Krieger119 writes, bet that room is where Thor forges his new weapon. I'm not sure. I don't think Thor has the power to forge his new weapon. I think he's got to get his new weapon. I don't think he's got the power to forge it. I think Odin had to forge Mjolnir for him. But I don't know if he's got the power to do it or the know-how to do it. Besides, I think that room really is the ship. Besides, it looks an awful lot like the same room that Loki is standing in with the Black Order. It looks a lot like the same room. I think it's Thor returning to his ship. I could be wrong, but I'm going to stick with that prediction until we see the movie. We'll see how that all goes. All right. Brendan Mills writes, John, I think the Iron Spider suit is just something unique to put MCU and is to put in MCU and is something that hasn't been touched yet. It's a safe way to reboot him. I mean, I still don't see the need. Like when we reboot Batman, do you suddenly have to put him in purple spandex? I say, well, we got to reboot him, so we got to make him unique. I just don't see, and again, I'm acknowledging a lot of people love it. That's great. I just don't see how turning Spider-Man into Iron Man Jr., because that's what he is. Oh, he also has a set of battle armor that can do all this stuff and has a functioning AI in him and gives him heads-up display and talks. So it's Iron Man. It's Iron Man Jr. You just turned Spider-Man into Iron Man Jr. I don't see how that's a good thing. I just don't. I still love the character. I'm not crapping on Spider-Man Homecoming because I love that movie, even with the Spider-Man or the Iron Man Jr. stuff in it. But no, you don't have to. It's like, oh, well, you got to make him different. No, you don't. He's Spider-Man. He's Spider-Man. He's one of the coolest comic book characters of all time. He's Spider-Man, for heaven's sakes. Anyway, that's just my... all right. Ethan Hunt writes, where's the Infinity War trailer? And why not consider inflation? Very funny, Ethan. Very funny. Styler Manu writes, do you think that Hulk is actually inside the Hulkbuster armor? I've heard a rumor. The Infinity War trailer was excellent. I can't wait to see this movie. Right now, I'm kind of feeling like, I mentioned that a little bit earlier in the video. Right now, I'm kind of suspecting that, I think maybe he is in that armor. Again, there are other options. One, maybe it's Tony. I mean, we don't see him in Wakanda, but maybe he is in Wakanda. We just don't know yet. Maybe it's Shuri controlling the armor. Maybe the armor's autonomous. Maybe the armor's just acting on its own, like a lot of the Iron Man suits were at the end of Iron Man 3. Maybe it's just doing that. I mean, so there's a lot of different options about what it could be. I, right now, lean towards that it's Hulk in that armor. But again, I don't know for sure. We'll have to wait and see. Like, Hulk needs something to make him stronger. Anyway. Okay, let's see. Ranger 8 writes, what do you like to do at the gym? Well, here's the thing. I go to the gym at 5 in the morning because my show is at 8. Which, by the way, next week I'm going to test for 1 week doing the John Campea show live at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time instead of 8 a.m. Only because it is really kicking my ass having to get up at 5 in the morning. Because I have no time during the day. Once I start working, I am working right till about 7 o'clock at night. I have no way of getting to the gym during the day. If I want to go to the gym, I have to go at like 5 in the morning. Now, what I generally do right now, I go through different phases. Right now, the phase that I'm in is just a very, very light workout. I do I do basically a full body workout. I do 1 set of curls, tricep extensions, pull downs, incline press, bench press, shoulder presses, some leg stuff, ab crunches, whatever. 1 set of everything. Then I get on the treadmill for about 45 minutes. So I just do a quick routine in, out in about an hour and 10 minutes. I get in and out of the gym in about an hour and 10 minutes. But I'm finding for me to have a life, I'm not getting to bed as early as I'd like. Like last night I was in bed at 9:30. Fell asleep around 10 because my alarm goes off at 5 a.m. So next week, just for the week, I'm going to test out doing the John Campea show at 9 a.m. so I can get out of bed at 6 instead of 5. And I'm just going to try that for a week and see how that goes. I like having the earlier show, but I would really love to get 1 more hour of sleep. So again, next week, from starting on Monday, for 1 week, I'm going to test doing the John Campea show at 9 a.m. instead of 8, just so I can get that 1 extra hour of sleep. And we'll see, hey, maybe you guys like it, maybe you don't, maybe it works, maybe it doesn't work, maybe I go right back to 8 a.m. the following week. Who knows? But right now, that's my routine. My routine at the moment, and for the last 3 or 4 weeks, has just been 1 set of everything. So I do basically a general, quick, easy, full body workout, 1 set of just about everything on the treadmill for 30 to 45 minutes, get home, take a shower, do all the setup, and I'm ready to go for 8 o'clock. Let's see. Ali Hussein writes, do you think that Gamora is going to play an important role in Infinity War? I think we see that very clearly, Ali. I think we see that very clearly. First of all, we see her talking in the trailer, revealing, who Thanos is and what he's going to do. But then there's that, again, it comes back to that shot, man, of little baby Gamora taking Thanos' hand and walking with Thanos the moment Thanos takes her as his daughter. You don't show a flashback like that for no reason without it having important story implications. I believe Gamora is going to end up being a much more important player in Infinity War than I think any of us ever thought previously. I know certainly more important than I thought she would play previously. Now I'm starting to believe, oh my God, she could be a very key player in this. And like somebody else suggested earlier in the show today, like maybe even the one that actually ends up killing Thanos. Who knows? We're going to have to wait and see. Sam Fisher is, who do you think Peter Dinklage is playing in Infinity War? No idea. I'm guessing, and who knows, maybe it's listed somewhere. I just haven't looked it up yet. My guess right now is that Dinklage is going to be one of the voices of one of the Black Order. And look, maybe I'm wrong about that. Maybe they've already listed who the voice cast is for that, and I just haven't seen it. But my guess right now is Dinklage is going to voice one of the Black Order. Maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong. Who knows? I'm sure if you guys know if I'm right or wrong, jump down in the comment section and let me know for sure. That's what Community is for. All right, next one comes to us from Daryl Best Wadley, who writes, what do you think of Flash and Black Lightning this week? I hated the Flash. Iris getting speedster powers reminded me of what they did with Laurel on Arrow. Yeah, but the one thing, though, is that it was only temporary. They gave her powers for 1 episode and then took them away. And I got that. So that was fine. The part that bugs me the most, and it still bugs me about Flash this season, is that out of everybody on Team Flash, she is the least qualified out of anybody. She has no powers like Cisco, like Killer Frost, like even Elongated Man or Barry. She's not a cop like her dad. She's not a brilliant scientist like Wells or Cisco or Killer Frost. She is by far, she has no tactical training. She is by far the least qualified of anybody on Team Flash. But it's like, oh gosh, we need Iris to have an important role in the show. Let's make her the leader of Team Flash. Who was the frickin' moron who came up with that idea? And now suddenly she's the boss. She's in charge of Team Flash. She's the leader, the least qualified of any of them. No tactics training like Joe, her father. Not a brilliant mind like Cisco or Wells. Not powered like Barry or Cisco or, there's a couple of the other characters. She is absolutely bottom of the pole. All right? Bottom of the pole. And yet they make her the boss. She's the leader. And they had to emphasize that again in this week's episode. I'm the leader of Team Flash. Shut up. And it really sucks because I was starting to really like this character. And it's not the character's fault. It's the writer's fault. I was really starting to like Iris in this show. A lot, actually. She was really climbing ladders, being one of my favorite characters. And then they pulled this bullshit of, oh, well, we got to make her important, so let's say she's the leader. I mean, it's the same surge of brain fart that they did. It's like, oh, we need to make Laura special. Let's give her some evening boxing lessons and put a bunch of buckles on her and call her a superhero. I mean, seriously, this whole thing about them making her leader of Team Flash is almost enough to make me give up on the show. The Black Lightning episode, however, was, I did a quick reaction to it on Stardust. Make sure you're following me on Stardust, by the way. I did a quick reaction to the Black Lightning. I thought the episode was brilliant. I thought it was great. I've loved this show so far. Right now, it is my favorite CW show. It has supplanted Flash as my favorite CW show. And I think they're doing a great job with it. And this week's episode was just killer. The whole thing with Gabby and like starting to reveal the backstory and everything. Primo. Love it. Victor Gonzalez writes, keep up the great work, John. Thank you so much, Victor. Do you think Thanos will be pure evil, or does he believe he is doing a righteous thing? Well, see, that's the thing, right? I've always said that the best villains are the ones who think they're the good guys. The best villains are the ones who think they are on the right side. Because along with being evil, they bring conviction to it, right? And it sounds like Thanos is talking. It's like, yeah, look, when I'm done, half of humanity, hey, what are you worried about, man? When I'm done, half of humanity will still be fine. Except now the world and the universe will be in balance. I'm trying to do something good. I think he sees himself as on some kind of righteous cause or something like that. I don't believe he's pure evil. I think, look, when he lets Gamora take his hand, there's, as I said earlier in the show, I think there's a fragment of vulnerability to Thanos. And I think Gamora and maybe even Nebula are that vulnerability. I think he's got legitimate affection for them. In his own twisted, weird way. It seems to me like they portrayed that. Like, when he thought in Guardians of the Galaxy that Gamora had turned on, when he found out Gamora had turned on him, and he blamed Ronan, the accuser, for it, there was a poutiness to him. It's like, no, you've even turned against me, my own daughter, my favorite daughter, which was a jab at Nebula. But I think there is something good in him. But overall, he's definitely a villain, definitely a bad guy. He just might see himself a little bit differently than that, which makes him even more scary as a villain. All right, just got a couple minutes more here, guys. Let's see. Ali Hussein writes, is impossible. How can Cap be equal to Thanos when we know that Thanos is OP as FK? Yeah, again, one of the great things about this trailer is that it answered a couple of questions. A little bit of thing, are you going to give us glimpses of the big battle scene? Where do the battles happen? What's Thanos' motivation? So it answers some questions, but at the same time, it brings up a whole new slew of questions. What's that comet falling out of the sky? Is that Hulk falling back to Earth? Is that something else? How is Cap stopping Thanos' hand? And like Thanos even looking like confused and shocked and concerned. How the hell is he doing that? That's what a great trailer does. It answers some questions, it raises some more questions. And that is one of the big questions coming out of this. Still the big question, does Loki die in that scene? But the other one is, how is Cap doing that? That's the moment I basically squealed. Is, again, I'm going to bring it up just one more time, because to me, it is the shot of the trailer. I've shown this picture now on the 3 videos I've done today about 25 times, and I don't care. To me, that is the shot of the trailer. That is mankind's hero right there, Captain America. That's the best dude right there. Anyway, but it raised, how is he doing that, man? How is he doing that? I have no idea, but I cannot wait to find out. Okay, let's keep going here. Ben Heusa writes, oh man, if Loki does die, I already imagine me getting emotional and just yelling out, no! And heartbreaking to me. I just love the Loki character. Me too, man. Me too. But again, if it serves the story, then I'm okay with it. It's like much the same way like when they killed Ulysses Klaue in Black Panther. I was loving that character. I didn't want him to die, but then as I realized, his death played an important part to the progression of the story, then I'm cool with it. I missed the character. I wanted to see the character more, but if it's in service to the story, then I'm cool with it. If Loki dies and they use his death in the service of the narrative and in the service of the story, then it's totally fine. Then I'm good with it. Even though I love Loki, I don't want him to go anywhere. But if he dies in such a way that it really helps move the story and it's in service to the story and the narrative, then I'm okay with it. I'll be okay. But you're damn right, my heart's going to break. My heart is going to break when they kill Loki. Styler Manor writes, Thanos looks great. No hint of the uncanny valley. I will say this, all right? Not everything is sunshine and rainbows. I will give this one criticism. One of my biggest criticisms of Justice League, and I like Justice League quite a bit, but was of Steppenwolf's, the model of Steppenwolf looks great, but when he was animated, he looked fake as fuck. Just bad. Like, when I talk, see, my mouth moves, cheeks move, eyes move, the head moves, blah, all this kind of stuff. But when Steppenwolf talks, just to listen, nothing else moves, and it creates this really weird image. It's just badly done. In the shot when Thanos says, I hope they remember you. He's standing, you see basically a full body shot of Thanos. He goes, I hope they remember you. I caught a little bit of that same problem on his face as I caught on Steppenwolf's face. Not as bad, but not great either. So I'm a little concerned about that. I'm going to be keeping an eye on that as we move forward. Overall, he looked great, but when he's talking, in that one particular shot when he's talking, I got a little bit of that same shortcoming that we got in the Steppenwolf facial animation as he's talking too. So I did catch a little bit of the Uncanny Valley stuff, just a bit. We'll see if it's a bigger problem in the movie or if it's not a problem at all. We'll just have to wait and see. Let's see. Eat, sleep, suplex, repeat. A very nice reference to Brock Lesnar there. Reason for no Ant-Man and Hawkeye, because they travel back in time to alter the events of what happens using Pym tech. I mean, that's one of the theories that's going around right now, that time travel is involved. There's a big theory out there that Avengers 4 is going to be based on time travel, and that Ant-Man is going to be the one that basically unlocks the time travel ability. That's a common theory right now. I don't know how much I subscribe to that theory right now, but it is certainly plausible. It's a plausible theory at this point. All right, we got like 2 minutes left here, and then I would go overtime, guys, but I got to go pick up my wife from her eye procedure that she's getting done. I cannot be late picking up the wife from a doctor's appointment. There's marriage 101, guys. Just giving it to you straight. Styler Manor writes, Gamora flashback is intriguing. Will we see Nebula? I'm suspecting we will. I don't know for sure, but I'd say there's a 25% chance we also see it as a part of that flashback, the Nebula acquisition for Thanos as well. Styler Manor 1 writes, I'm going to do a Condor Man video on Stardust. Do it, man. We talked about that Condor Man the other day. That movie from the 80s by Disney. Whoo, what a movie that was. But absolutely, Styler, do a video on that. Trevor Johnson writes, I think Thanos would be a good reason for the military to let Abomination out. It won't happen, but I could dream. My God. I still believe they're going to let Abomination out. Not the government, but Disney and Marvel. I believe they're going to have Abomination get out. He's a great villain. He's still alive. We know where he is. What do they call it? The Ark or something like that? We know, or the Raft. He's still there. We know from the extra companion stuff to the MCU, we know that that's where he's being held. He would make a great villain. For another Hulk film, for even another Avengers film, he would make a great villain. How badass would it be if in Avengers 4, the final fight with Thanos is coming and they let him out. They let Blonsky out. They let the Abomination out to fight alongside. Oh my God, that would be amazing. All right. Final email question, or final live question of the day, because like I said, I got to go pick up my wife, guys. But again, guys, any questions you've sent in that I have not gotten around to, don't worry. Tomorrow, I'm going to put up a companion video and it will have all these questions that I don't get around to. So don't worry, if you sent in a question, it will get answered. But the last one we're answering today is from Warren Lucas, who writes, could A Quiet Place be this year's Get Out, a critical and box office horror film success? Yes. And we're talking about John Krasinski's new horror film, his first horror film, starring himself, his wife, Emily Blunt. It just played at South by Southwest to ridiculous reviews. Like, people are crawling out of their skin for this movie. And they're saying it's terrifying. And that's the one thing about Get Out. I don't even know that I call Get Out a horror film. It's not really a scary film. It's great. It's got great suspense. It's got all that kind of stuff. I don't know that I would call Get Out a horror film. But everybody's saying Quiet Place is terrifying. And I'm dying to see this movie. I have not seen it yet. But yes, it could be this year's Get Out. Just, better as a horror film. All right, guys, that will do it for me for today's installment of Open Mic, talking mostly about Avengers Infinity War, and I'm sure we're going to be talking Infinity War for the next little while. Thanks so much for being here, guys. Listen, don't forget, click on that subscribe button, become a subscriber to my YouTube channel. Also, follow me on Twitter. You can simply follow me on Twitter, just at John Campea. And make sure you guys consider becoming a Patreon supporter of mine. Go over to www.patreon.com/John Campea. Find out what it means to be a Patreon supporter, how being a Patreon supporter actually keeps my show on the air, and what benefits there are to being a Patreon supporter, like audio-only podcasts, like the Facebook group, and some other things as well. And then maybe you'll want to become a Patreon supporter too, which would be awesome. Anyways, that will do it for me, guys. Thanks so much for joining me. My name's John Campea, and until my next video, bye-bye.